the good becomes the enemy of the great.
Yeah,
Like
that's true.
I'm coming in so low on this because I don't have it figured out at all, but I know that something pulls in me that I don't like when someone says my mission is totally my family.
Oh no, I wasn't saying that.
No, I'm
Yeah.
not. I guess so. I'm using an extreme to just make a point. I'm not saying that's what you're saying.
You said I said that.
but like, do you see what I'm saying? Like whenever I hear that, and I do hear that in the church.
Yeah.
I do think our church has become incredibly vocation centered and not as much Jesus centered. I really do. I think we can speak.
Be careful. I think vocation is the wrong word.
Is that right?
I think it's comfort centered.
Yeah, sure. But I even would say that. But I guess
your vocation is to die.
Yes, agreed. Rightly ordered. But I would even say though that like, but even absent a vocation of priesthood or married life, I have everything I've ever needed for salvation right now.
Yeah.
Because vocation primarily is a calling for me to encounter Jesus in a very unique way to me so that I could be closer to him. But he should always be the end.
Yep.
If he's the means by which I achieve the end of my vocation, I'm worshiping myself because I'm the end. And that's the big fear I have. And again, I'm coming in low because I know it pushes buttons. And like you said, like there's going to be people frustrated that I'm even using vocation in that context because far be it from us to challenge a vocation-centered reality. But I do think that we actually have to look at ourselves and ask, am I pursuing vocation for Jesus or am I pursuing Jesus for vocation? Because one way's right and one way is not.
Yeah.
And I like, again, I just like, I love the idea of family. And like, I love Nina, and being married the last 2 years has been such a gift and it's blessed me immeasurably.
2 years.
But
you made it out of the 1 year, the 1 year wedding dance.
There's like so many out there that are like, I've been married 40 years and what's he talking about? But like, I do think there's something to this, like this tension that we're talking about that like, I absolutely need to have time with my spouse and my kids.
Yeah.
But if that's the only place that I'm serving for the duration of my time here, I just think that something's falling short.
I wonder how much of it's just like postmodern thought, like hitting the church, right? Because it used to be like the whole idea of like, I have one life to live, so I'm going to give myself to others. How can I give myself to others? How can I give myself to a worthy cause? And there was this turn where it's like, well, how can I get things out of life? What's in it for me? And even like, think about like YOLO, right? You only live once. Like in ancient days, they had that mindset of you only live once as well, but it was like, because you only live once, I want to live this life of insane sacrifice where I give myself for a noble cause. Now it's, well, you only live once, so I need to get as much hedonistic pleasure as possible in this one life that I have. And it's just interesting the shift that's happened in the world has instead of the church influencing the world has now influenced the church. And you see the church, you almost have to reteach people what it means to be Christian. That when you bought into Christianity, you didn't buy into something that was just for you. Like, it's not about me and Jesus. You didn't buy into something that like, hey, I get my eternal salvation and my earthly comfort. Like, that wasn't Christianity. It was conforming myself, authentic Christianity, conforming myself to the life of Jesus.
It was in fact never easy.
Right.
And it is the priceless treasure is far greater than what I give, right? And so this great reward comes, but it comes through the death of self and the gift of self. And I think just that you notice in Christianity, the mindset has changed. Well, why don't you go to church? Well, I don't get anything out of it. Well, that's not why you ever started going to church. Like, liturgy is about giving. And so it's the common thought of, I need to get something out of this in order for it to be authentic.
Yeah. And I think you guys both make a good point too. In the generation that we're in now, it does seem like there's been a shift where like the idea that I have one life to live is no longer, I'm going to give my life to the most worthy thing, but rather I'm going to see how many things I can attain, almost as if I've become the most worthy thing, you know? Wow. And I was actually giving a talk to the missionaries towards the end of their year, and we talk a lot here at Damascus about deployment, like military deployment, but for missionaries, that we're actually deploying you into the world with a specific mission. And deployment actually comes from the word meaning like to unfold. And it was interesting when I was like praying into that, I felt like the Lord was like highlighting the fact that there's so often that in our lives, instead of letting it unfold, we'd rather keep it folded up and live in potential instead of actually seeing what it really is. Like when I have a lot of different options on the table, when it's not unfolded and it's there, I can hypothesize that like, oh, I could do this, or I could do this, or I could do this. And that's kind of like generically exciting. But as it unfolds, it actually commits me to something.
Yeah.
And once I get committed to something, there's something I think in the generation now that doesn't feel as excited about that as it does about infinite potential. It's like, but potential doesn't do anything. It doesn't move the ball
bears
forward.
no fruit.
Like think about, even potential energy, kinetic energy, right? Like potential energy, great. There's a lot of
It needs to
energy
be
that could happen,
Yeah.
but something has to move it,
Yeah.
you know, like, and I think that is.
Well, that's a whole
gift.
podcast on commitment too,
Yeah, right.
you know, like
Yeah,
because
true.
there is so much like I think there's that fear of saying yes to something because a yes to one thing is a no to something else, and so there of course is that fear. But then, it's the fear of missing out, right? Like I don't want to miss out on this opportunity, this opportunity, this opportunity, which ultimately comes back down to of I've just reduced my life to a series of getting as much pleasure as I can, or as many opportunities and experiences as I can.
Because what if you do miss out on something?
You will miss out on
exactly,
something.
you will. But like ask yourself that. You know what I mean? Like, well, so what?
So what?
Okay, so I don't want to miss out on something. Oh, but I did. So what?
Yeah.
Like what? Like is everything over? Like is it? No, it's okay. Because in making a decision to one thing, you're by the nature of making a decision, you're not making another decision.